I have a background now. Hi, I'm stuck in bed and now you're stuck in here with me. I was really hoping not to make another RWBY video, but I've been thinking more and more about what I said in the last video on RWBY and how Rooster Teeth would accidentally fall into homophobic tropes, specifically with Ilya, and unintentionally give people the idea that a character is gay when they never intended that reading, and how that was tied to their not communicating adequately with their animators. But I've been thinking, and the same thing happens with other minorities that they try to portray. They just seem to be very careless when approaching representation, and you cannot be careless when you're writing your minority characters. For many reasons, the main one being that it's harmful to how people will view these minorities. Like, an example that really comes to mind is in the latest episode, the last episode of Volume 8, they had Harriet completely lose it. Like, completely. And that's just not a good look for them. Like, you're working with minority characters, and then Harriet is a black woman, and you wind up portraying a black woman being unstable and overly emotional. And that's just the sort of trope that black women have been dealing with for a very, very long time. And then with Ren being one of the only Asian characters, for the first 4 volumes, you just have him be very stoic and quiet and martial artist, and that's just tripping ass backwards over a stereotype about Asian characters. And then the whole way that the White Fang was handled, in that they're trying to show an oppressed group rising up against their oppressors, but you're having them not protest in the right way, like with the acts of terrorism. You're using that, and they're honestly tone policing the oppressed group. Especially with Blake's character. Blake's whole point was that she at first was okay with the more violent protest methods, and then later she turns away from it because it turns out that Adam really didn't care and was just doing what he did in order to get power, and just completely destroyed Adam's character. And then you have Ironwood, who is also an Asian character, being a ruthless dictator, and that's just throwing in some yellow peril for the price of nothing. But this is why they really need to be careful. And I think part of it is that, one, the writers aren't that diverse. You're working with Miles Luna and Carrie Shawcross, who are both white men. And another thing is that they've kind of written themselves in a corner. So when RWBY first came out, there was only a handful of minority characters. And they were often just bit characters that were completely on the side. And I'll say this a million times. If your minority character can be written out of the story and not change a thing, then you don't have a minority character. It's not enough just to put them in the background. They have to be an active part in the story. Otherwise, it's not real representation. And that's what RWBY did in the beginning. Besides Ren, who was coded Asian, they had next to no minority characters. There was Fox on Coco's team, but that's basically it. And I think, honestly, it is just because they didn't have a diverse writing group. They weren't thinking about this from the beginning, but it's causing problems for them later on, because when you have such a large cast of white characters, there's like 9 main characters that we're all following now. You can't fit in more main characters. Like, with 9 characters, your roster's full. If you added any more, you'd be missing out on characterization for all of them. Especially for a show that has as few episodes as RWBY and has such short episodes, they aren't going to be able to flesh out any character they add. So their only option now for adding that more representation is to add it on the side or as antagonists. And they've been doing that mainly, especially with Harriet. It's just like, well, I'm going to blow up everyone in Mantle because I was secretly in love with Clover. That's just like, oh my God, no. I mean, the one good thing is that there's Emerald, and Emerald did switch sides, but for the longest time she was also on the villain side, and we never got her character fleshed out either. But it just really, it's annoying. It's really annoying, like, how careless they are when they're writing these characters. And that they don't realize, like, they're not paying attention. It honestly seems to just be not paying attention. And you can't afford to do that, since representation is so important. The only way a lot of people will be introduced to minorities is through the media. So if you're portraying minorities in a bad light, that's going to affect how people every day see them. And that just can't happen. I'm not saying that Miles and Carrie shouldn't write any minority characters. I'm saying they need to be more careful, and they need to get rid of some of the main cast so they can add some minority characters into the main cast. And until they do that, they're just going to continually be forced to write their minority characters as bit parts, side characters, or villains. And that just should not be happening. Like, they need to diversify their writing crew. Or do a shit ton of research. Because representation is hard. And it's really easy to fuck it up. And RWBY keeps fucking it up. Thank you. I was stuck in bed and you were stuck in here with me. But now you may go and live your lives. Go, be cute, be gay, do crimes. Bye.
2 babies for the price of 1? Oh, I'm in heaven. No, Ferds, come back. Don't walk away. At least you're still here.